Here we go. It's time to go temple building from the inside out. Many of us know that physical and mental health play a direct part in spiritual health, but we may not know how to bring it all together. Well, here's your host, Desiree Fletcher Carruthers, as we go temple building from the inside out.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday and welcome to KPOG 102.9's Temple Building from the Inside Out. I hope you are all doing absolutely fantastic. As my intro bumper says, I'm Desiree Fletcher Carruthers, your host, and I just want to thank you for joining me. I know that there's other things that you could be doing, listening to, watching, and I'm just, I'm just appreciative that you are here with me. As always, please be sure to visit us at kpog.org, where you can also listen in live to Temple Building, as well as any of our other great live programming or pre-program programming. Lots of good stuff out there on 24/7. If you're looking for something uplifting and spirit-filled, KPOG 102.9 can be a local resource for you to get just that. You can also download our app on your smartphone and carry us with you wherever you go, so you don't have to be limited to your car radio or your computer. So, KPOG can be your friend 24/7 if you want us to be. So be sure to carry us along. We're a good couple weeks now into 2021, and I'm wondering, how has the year started for you? Is it everything that you expected it to be? I know there have definitely been some surprises that I wasn't expecting so far in 2021, but I guess, you know what? From here going forward, I'm just going to plan to expect the unexpected because, that way things just won't seem to be so shocking when crazy things happen. Just expect to be surprised and be able to roll with the punches. So the last time I was on the air, we talked about setting SMART goals and creating a plan for success in 2021. So if you missed that show, in a nutshell, your plan for success will include SMART goals. These are goals that are simple, specific, and easy, convenient tasks that you can complete. Your goals will be measurable, attainable, they'll be relevant, which is important to you, and they will be timely, meaning that you will have a time frame in which that you can realistically complete them. So that would be one part of your success plan. Now, also part of this plan, you will want to take with you or plan to work on making sure you bring the right mindset. Because in order to achieve goals, you have to have the right motivation, and your mindset is going to be so critically important. Because if you lose motivation, odds are it's because you didn't believe that you could achieve that goal in the first place. And if that is your belief, then you'll be correct. If you believe you can't, then you won't. But if you believe you can, then you will find a way. Perception often becomes reality, and a positive mindset is key to achieving success. I know it seems like the tagline for every self-help book that's out there, but this one is important. It's true. Positive mindset goes a long way. Also, a part of your success plan should be realistic expectations. So we talked about reaching for what's in front of you on your way to the sky instead of just shooting for the sky right off the bat. Rather than setting a goal of, I will eat better in 2021, which is this huge overarching goal, you will be most likely to succeed if you bring that goal down a couple of feet and into perspective. So you can say, instead of I'm just going to eat better in 2021, you can set the goal of I will eat one fresh fruit or vegetable every day, or I will avoid fast food restaurants 5 days out of each week. There are 7 in a week, so you still have a little fudge factor, and you will remain positive while doing this. So both of those examples are easily attainable. It may not seem like it right now, depending on what your habits are, but they totally are if you plan to do so. And they're going to be much easier to achieve than saying you just want to eat healthy, because that's ambiguous. What does that look like? What does that mean? How do I do that? So, bring your goals into perspective, make sure that they are attainable, that they're realistic, and then you will have stair steps up to that big pie in the sky goal that you have, and it won't seem so, you know, insurmountable, and you'll be less likely to give up on it. And by the way, as far as avoiding fast food restaurants, totally doable. My family and I participated in No Fast Food November, much much against their will. They were not excited about doing that because we are a busy family. And, sometimes when you're on the go, you're just like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. We're just going to have to roll in here real quick, grab something to eat, and we're going to keep going. And really, what it boils down to is that I just was not prepared to support my family in the manner that I want them to be supported from a good food perspective. So, No Fast Food November helped to bring things back into reach for us. It was a realistic goal and expectation. They might not have been happy about it, but they did it, and we're still alive, and we're all the better for it. So, even though things might not sound like they're fun, once you get into them, it's really not as difficult as you might think it is. Also, part of your plan for success is incorporating a clause for dealing with setbacks. What happens if you set your SMART goals, but then you don't perform the way that you had hoped? So, I was going to have a goal of not eating fast food for 5 days out of the week, but I ate fast food, 4 days out of the week and didn't eat it for only 3. What then? Do I totally just give up and say that I can't do it? Or do I have a plan of action that I can put into play if I do not reach my short-term goals, so I will not be tempted to quit on my long-term goal, which was to eat better in 2021. So if you plan to succeed, not only having those action steps of what you think is going to get you to success, but then also have action steps of what to do if success isn't happening the way that you wanted it to, that's just going to help you get to where you want to go that much faster. But on the flip side of including, all of these great things we want to have in our plan of success while we're creating our SMART goals, there are also a couple of things that we do not want to take with us. These are barriers. These are bad habits that have nothing to do with being successful, and we want to make sure that they are not woven into our quote-unquote New Year's resolutions or plans moving forward. And one of those is the propensity to cave to wrong behavior because of social pressures or because it's more convenient to fall back into bad habits. You don't want to, just because your friends are out having drinks every other night, doesn't mean you have to be there with them, or eating fast food. If your coworkers are bringing in chocolates and chips and crackers and they set it out for everyone to share in, doesn't mean that you have to share. And even if you don't want to appear to be rude, all you have to say is no thank you. Or if it's your habit to mindly pass by a bowl of open food and just grab some, you don't have to do that. So don't cave, don't not succeed because of social cues or just bad habits that it's easier to fall back into instead of moving forward. Because, more times than not, you either have or have access to the base information and basic tools that you need to change your health and to change your lifestyle. So don't confuse lack of means with lack of discipline and motivation. They are not the same thing. They simply are just not the same thing. Make your short-term goals easy to perform. Make them part of your lifestyle to where they can become convenient, and it just becomes something that you will naturally do. So when these temptations to do what everybody else is doing that doesn't have the same goals that you have, or to fall back into bad habits presents itself, that you are not so prone to just jump in there and do those things, that you're going to stay on course, stay looking forward, you're going to stay positive, and you're going to succeed in those areas where you may have struggled before. Another thing that you want to make sure that you don't do when you are working through your plan for success is, do not seek immediate reward from bad behavior. Okay? So, for example, say that you are like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I need more energy. Well, there are a lot of things that are probably contributing to that equation. It's probably the kinds of food that you're eating, the amounts of food that you're eating. Are you sleeping well? Are you getting, a lot of clean air and oxygen in there? So many things impact your energy levels. So what you can do is clean up your eating patterns, maybe include more fresh fruits and veggies, look for natural sources of energy. Maybe it's a green tea that will holistically work with your body to get you moving to where you want to be, especially if that goal is eating better. Or you can just slam a donut in an energy drink and get that jolt of energy right away. Well, both of those options there are going to eventually get you the extra energy that you want. One of them is going to support your goal, the other is not. In case you haven't guessed, the donut and the energy drink is a prime example of seeking immediate reward from bad behavior. You got the results you wanted, but the donut and the energy drink were not your best option, especially if that goal was to eat healthier in 2021. So just a quick recap there of the things that we talked about in, creating an environment for you to succeed. If you're not planning to succeed, you're planning to fail. Again, it may sound cliche, but it is oh so true. You have to make a committed effort to get the things that you want. And better health is no different than anything else. You want to be financially sound. You want to have a bigger and better car, bigger and better house. You want to, whatever it is that you want, climb Mount Everest, whatever it is, you have to have a committed plan to get there, and good health is no different. You have to have that because why? Well, you know what? We also talked about how few people actually achieve the New Year's resolutions. These are all things we covered on my last show. Oh my gosh, what did we say? Only 8% achieve their goals. That's 8 out of every 100 people. And in fact, most people have broken their New Year's resolutions by around January 12th, which was yesterday. Today is January 13th. So for those of you who are tuning in, who are watching listening on Facebook, how many of you actually had a goal for 2021 that you were going to achieve? And how many of you are still pursuing it 13 days into 2021? And how many of you have already given up? Already broken that promise, broken that I'm going to go to do this or do that. And you know what? You're just like, it's just not going to happen. I'll try it again in 2022. That is not the way to go. If you were thinking that was it, that was not the way to go. And I'm telling you, I know I'm a broken record, but all of this not succeeding happens because while you may have had a desire to make a change, you didn't have that plan for success that we just reviewed to make that change a reality. So with all that being said, folks, today is the day to jump back on that bandwagon. If you're out there thinking, you know what, I've already busted my New Year's resolutions, you know what, we're going to put some glue on it and get back on track. If you are part of that 8%, good, keep going, good job. You know what? Just do what you have to do one day at a time, but forward steps. We're not trying to move backwards. But if you're part of that 19.2% that have benched yourselves because you're no longer in the game, today I just want to share a little reality check with you. Maybe you haven't quite solidified your why of why your goals are important. You have some. Maybe they're not even goals. Maybe they're just thoughts. Maybe they're a half desire. You kind of want that, but you're not real committed to getting that. And odds are what it is that you want is probably in your best interest for the most part. We'll stay focused on health here. So if some form of better health, whether that's eating, exercise, less stress, better fitting clothes, whatever that picture looks like to you, if that is an inkling in your mind, then that is a positive and that is definitely something to pursue. So if you haven't quite solidified your why of why health is important to you, why does any of this matter, what does this mean to you, then I am here today to give you a little pep talk to get back on that New Year's resolution bandwagon. Now, I'm going to be in full disclosure admitting that this might not feel like a pep talk at first because I've got some things to say that you might not want to hear. But I'm going to ask you to hang in there and just hear me out. And this picture is going to become clearer to you as to why a healthier version of you is so, so, so important. All right. So here we go. Hang in there. We're going to get there. Currently in the U.S., our state of health as a country is rapidly declining. People are sicker than ever, and these trends only seem to be increasing. We are headed the wrong way on the good health train. So if you're living in the United States, if you're submerged in the U.S. culture, odds are that if the following stats don't describe you right now, these stats that I'm about to share with you, they are going to describe you somewhere in your future if you don't figure out why good health is important to you. Not to the United States, not to worldwide statistics, but to you personally. So here we go. Approximately 71.6 of adults over the age of 20 are overweight or obese. All right? 71.6%. That is well beyond half. I'm going to take a break to say a quick hello here to Stefan. Thanks for tuning in. But back to it. Approximately 71.6% over the age of 20 are overweight or obese. That's a big number. Approximately 6 out of 10 adults have a chronic disease. And based on past shows, we know that a lot of that is probably going to stem from your gut health, inflammation, overstress, undernourished, underexercised. All right? So approximately 6 out of 10 adults have a chronic disease. And despite how COVID-19 may have you feeling, heart disease has been and continues to be the #1 leading cause of death in the U.S. Heart disease, which is totally preventable, totally related to lifestyle. Approximately 45.8% of people in the United States have used a prescription medication in the last 30 days. So almost half of all U.S. adults living in the U.S., we'll say, have used a prescription medication in the last 30 days. And hey, this stat hits home. Family members fit that stat in my household. And over 100 million adults in the U.S. have diabetes or pre-diabetes, which should not be a surprise since almost 72% of us are overweight or obese. And in all actuality, these numbers are probably higher than what I've just shared with you because not adults living in the U.S. take part in these studies, so not all numbers are reported. And it does not reflect children, clearly, because it's all about adults. But there are kids that fit every single one of those statistics that I just shared. And so if you were looking at us globally as a nation, as just a whole population, those numbers are just astronomically high. And guys, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, there's no reason why the United States could not crack the top 30 of the Bloomberg's Global Health Index for 2020. Out of all of the nations out there, and they're ranked by health, which this includes deaths, births, prescription use, a lot of different factors in there. How long people live, longevity. We couldn't even crack the top 30. In fact, I think we came in at about 35. So it means we're not the worst, but we're definitely not the best. It also takes into account income level and all these kinds of things. I mean, we are one of the richest nations in the world, and yet we are not even the top 30 of the healthiest in the world. What does that say to you? Be thinking about that. I mean, really think about you yourself personally, your why of why good health is important, and then look at us as a whole and look at our numbers and just really ask yourself, where is all of this going? Now, I know these stats, these truths are not popular in the public eye. Nobody really wants to hear it. I can tell you right now, nobody's really paying attention to it. Thus, our numbers are that high, but they are truth nonetheless. Whether we want to believe it or not, in the U.S. today, we are following what I'm going to call a disease model. And we're following this disease model instead of a health model at the cost of our health. So what's a disease model? A disease model is what I would say most people in the United States are following today. And this is the reason why we are in a declining state of health. And this is not an uncommon term. I'm saying that I'm calling it this, but there are others in the health world that use the same terminology. But I guess that's my way of stating that this is my opinion on the situation that we are in. So a disease model focuses on symptoms and not a healthy lifestyle, not prevention. It works to mask symptoms with medication once a disease has already taken root, taken home in the body, and it turns a blind eye to the long-term effects of poor lifestyle choices while keeping our attention on medication or the quick fix to feeling better. So we're not talking about, well, you know what, maybe I have heart disease because of my lifestyle choices. What we're talking about is the latest commercial that we see on TV for the drug that promises relief, you know, with just 1 to 12 side effects. But yet I can just take that drug and not have to change or take accountability for the reasons why I have heart disease in the first place. Now I realize genetics, yes, I get it. But those instances where you have heart disease or any disease where they can point to a genetic cause, they are so small compared to lifestyle for those diseases that are directly related to lifestyle choices. Those bad genetics, those bad genes, my grandfather had it, my great-grandfather had it, so small. Do they occur? Yes, but they are so small. And so we're stuck in this disease model where we're not really treating what's wrong. We're just covering it up so we don't have to change. Okay? And this is the reason why we're seeing skyrocketing numbers in prescription use, in obesity, in lifestyle-related diseases. It's because we're just treating the symptoms, we're not treating the cause. And that's where the magic is when you treat the cause. And are the doctors to blame? Nope. I do not hold doctors 100% accountable for any of this, but I firmly believe they do have a responsibility to their patients to foster a bigger picture of health that includes preventive measures along with the reactive solutions that we have. And that picture is skewed. You know what? Fostering and sharing and really pushing preventive measures about, yay big, small, takes up a small amount of most doctors' recommendations. Because I tell you, in any experience that I've had, when I have gone into a doctor or I've taken my children in, I usually always walk out with a prescription. All right, so I don't know if your experiences are any different, and maybe that's the more safe bet, but that's not the bet that I'm looking for. I don't want to gamble. I want to get down to what is the cause of the issue and not just cover it up. And sometimes there are prescriptions that are going to get you to that cause, that are going to address the issue at hand, depending on what your problem is, but there are many more that do not. All right? So here's where we get to the crux of the problem, and that's personal responsibility. Oftentimes people refer to healthy living as expensive, but the cost of disease care is extravagantly more. So what's easy and what's covered by insurance is not always the best answer when it comes to your health. Okay, so we, the American people, are spending more on health care than ever before, but yet we are sicker than ever before. So what does that tell you? We're going to get back to that. Average monthly cost of chemotherapy is $1,000 to $12,000. So the good news there is that more and more people are surviving from cancer than dying from it, but it's still a very costly disease, and there are some lifestyle changes that can be put in place as preventive measures. Nothing is a guarantee. There is no drug that's a guarantee. There is no lifestyle change that's a guarantee. But I'd rather, if I were a betting girl and betting my health, I'd rather put more down on preventive health care than having to rely on something like chemotherapy. There's a lot of cases that's needed. It's saved a lot of lives, but there is more and more anecdotal and scientific research coming out that supports preventive measures to help minimize odds of getting cancer. Because look, folks, I mean, it is not cheap. And I'm betting pretty much every one of us out there knows somebody who has been treated for cancer, or we know somebody who knows somebody. I have 3 individuals in my family alone. One of my very close friends, her sister has got it now. So, I mean, it's probably just a matter of time. If you don't know somebody who has experienced cancer, beat cancer, has cancer, fighting right now, then you will. And the average monthly cost of chemotherapy is $1,000 to $12,000. The average monthly cost of medications, $1,200. The average cost of heart surgery, $324,000. And the average yearly cost of diabetes care, $9,600 approximately. And these are ongoing costs, right? It's not just a one-time thing. You know, there are some surgeries where you have it once and you don't have to have it again. There are some individuals who have cancer once and you don't have to have it again. In my personal experience, my stepdad, he beat brain cancer for about 3 years, was in remission, and then it came back. Another family member of mine beat one form of cancer, and now it spread to somewhere else, and now she's back in treatment for cancer in a different part of her body. It's not always just a one-time deal. So I guess what I'm saying here is the disease model does not seem to be working. Just focusing on the symptoms once the symptoms are already in place is not enough to move the needle on good health. You know, and if you're one to reason that insurance will cover your medical costs, so you're good with paying your premium because insurance won't cover buying fresh food, gym memberships, or working with a nutritionist, and so you don't have the money to invest in those things, I'm going to tell you right now, A, I believe insurance should cover more preventive care costs, but that's a rant for another day. And B, you're gambling big time with your health based on dollars. Why should you invest in preventive care at all? Because you're worth it. You are 100% worth it. It's a crying shame that insurance does not cover more. And you are absolutely correct that insurance can cover a great number of medical expenses, but that's going to depend on your policy, level of coverage you have, if you have the right insurance in place at the time that you got ill or were given a diagnosis, but it almost never covers everything. So you're either going to spend money to preserve the health that you have and or improve it, or you're going to spend it to try to get health. And that's when you're using prescriptions, hospital stays, all of those things. But either way, you're going to spend the money. You are. So why not have insurance be your backup plan, all right, for that extreme emergency and not the plan? You know, because you're going to have it, you need it, want to have it in place for when that unexpected thing happens. You could be doing all the right things and something's still going to come on board. Yes, I get that, but there's a lot of sick people out there that their sickness is their own doing. And I know you guys don't want to hear that. I know it doesn't sound like a pep talk, but the first step in really getting to success, especially in your health, is getting over your own self, getting over your own shenanigans, and recognizing that there is more within your power to change than what you're taking advantage of. And if better health is what you really want, you have the power to impact that. Now, if you don't want it, then just be honest and say you don't want it, and there's nothing else that I can say, and you can go ahead and tune out. But if you do want it, then responsibility and accountability is what you're going to need first and foremost to really make your plan for success take off. So if the disease model is not fostering self-responsibility and accountability, then it would seem logical that the health model does, because a health model is essentially the opposite of a standard disease model. A health model focuses on prevention of disease instead of symptom management. All right, remember that phrase, symptom management. That's not what we want to do. Sometimes we have to, I get it, but that's not the ideal. We want to focus on prevention, not symptom management. Because like I've said before, those common chronic conditions like heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes, the vast majority are linked to lifestyle. And they can be improved through lifestyle changes. So a health model works to encourage healthy lifestyle practices to reduce or eliminate the risk of disease instead of treating it. Can that be more expensive? Without a doubt. But again, you are worth it. All right? Understand your value. Understand your value. The good Lord created you. He paid for you at a very expensive price. He knows that you are worth more than gold, more than precious stones. He knows that you are worth the fullest life that you can live. You are worth it. If you didn't understand that you are worth it, I hope you hear me now, and this is where kind of the pep talk part of it starts to come into play, because all of these things that are negatives, that maybe you fall into those categories, you can come out of that. You can come out of that. You don't have to remain a statistic. You are worth it. You know, and just because it's 2021 does not mean your life has changed for the better. I know we were hoping that magic, woo, it's 2021. Everyone, you know, give your hugs, open the front door for 2020 to usher out and let 2021 in, and it was going to be all better. But you have to be that change. You have to create that plan for success. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I haven't been spending as much time on social media, but I saw this meme where it said something word to effect where 2021 turned to 2020 and said, "Here, hold my drink," which means that 2021 was getting ready to go cut up in some fashion. And even in the first 2 weeks of the year, there has been a fair share of cutting up going on. So just because it's 2021 doesn't mean that that's going to go away. You have to be the change that you want. Creating that plan for success is going to be one of those first steps. You have to either plan to prepare or plan to fail, and that's just the long and short of it. And if you have fallen off of that 2021 New Year's bandwagon, I want to be here to help you get back on. Like I said, today is the day to turn that around and to move forward again. And the place that we're going to start is your mindset, all right? We talked about goals, and we talked about a plan and things to include in your plan and things not to have in that plan, things not to carry with you while you're executing your plan for success. But I want to spend a little more time today talking about mindset. Because if you've already given up on your goals, it's, you know, most likely because of stinking thinking. Odds are you never really believed that you could succeed, or you weren't really committed to it. It was just a nice thought, and it's something to do. It's what everybody does. We make New Year's resolutions, and, you know, we're going to turn things around because that's what everybody does. But you didn't really believe it. You didn't really believe you could, or maybe you never believed that that's what you really wanted. Your why was not solidified in your mind, why you needed to succeed at that goal, why you had to have it. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. It was just a thought. Our mindset greatly impacts our success when it comes to following a healthy lifestyle, because being healthy all the time is not fun. It's not, and we don't always want to do it, but it can be very rewarding. And when you make it your lifestyle, you don't even think of it as being healthy. You just think of it as being you, being the best you that you can be. So to set yourself up with a healthy mindset towards lifestyle change, you have to commit to changing what's in your head, what's going on, what's in those emotions, and to be positive. It does not mean perfection. All right? A healthy mindset does not mean perfection, but it does mean that you will approach it with a can-do attitude. It means keeping your plan for success and hitting those SMART goals and using those tools that you've identified to overcome barriers that you're going to keep those first and foremost in your mind, and you're going to be positive about it. You're going to talk life to yourself, and you're not going to talk yourself down, because we are so good at doing that. We are so good at telling ourselves what we can't do, what we're not good enough to do, what we're not meant to have, that no one else is going to appreciate me. But as I already said, you're worth it. You have great value. You need to start believing the truth that is already there in your life. All right? You've already come up against barriers, and if you haven't, you will. So the only question is not if you're going to have stumbling blocks, but what are you going to do about them? Because the whole point behind everything I've shared today is motivation. Planning and goals backed by sound information, they all build motivation. This is not just to, that I'm going to throw out these things that you can do, should do. But we're going to circle back around and get to the heart of what is it going to take for you to really succeed, because I want each and every one of you to have better health. That is my desire for you. Because living a health-filled life is also living a God-filled life. Because when you are feeling sick and destitute, that might lead us to cry out to God more. But really, when you are living the best life that you can live, it just allows God to be even closer to you, because you can appreciate everything that's going on around you and then share that light and positivity with everybody else. And so really, you're just having a more positive effect in life in general when you can just improve your health, even just by a little bit, because you feel that much better and you're ready to give that much more of yourself to the next person who might be struggling and just needs that little oomph, motivation, compassion, love, encouragement, whatever it is that you now have, because you are at that place of feeling better in your own life. Okay? Everyone is motivated by different things. Maybe it's results. For me, results are addictive. Seeing progress on your calendar. Maybe you have a friendly competition with a friend, or you've jumped into a competition. Maybe you're motivated by external incentives, such as, buying yourself an outfit or something like that. Maybe it's just quality of life, improved time with your family, still being able to play that round of pickup ball with the fellas. This is your why. And it doesn't have to be this grand altruistic why. It just has to be something that important to you. Your why is uniquely yours, and only you can decide what motivates you. It doesn't matter what motivates anybody else, because nobody else has your goals the way that you have your goals. They might fit in the same genre, but everyone has different reasons for why their goals are important to them. And so your why is unique to you. And regardless of what your why is, all of this begins with having a healthy mindset and remaining positive. And this is how you're going to reach your SMART goals. It just is. It's not rocket science, and it's not hard, but yet it is. Because we try to overthink and overcomplicate things instead of, again, just reaching for what's in front of us instead of reaching for the sky. And if the thing that's right in front of you right now is to foster a positive mindset, then that's where you need to start. Because you are stronger than the barriers to reaching your goals if you have a positive mindset. There's just no way around it. You can read a lot of think-help books, self-help books, all of that kind of stuff. But unless they speak to you personally, unless they are going to get down to the heart of the problem of why you're not speaking life to yourself, they're not going to help. The attitude you took into reading the self-help book is the attitude you're going to take coming out of it. So positive mindset is going to make the difference in everything. Research shows that people who use realistic thinking when setting goals but have a positive mindset when implementing those goals are more successful. Having a positive mindset also includes being able to think about the future and understanding what positive health outcomes will be if you make healthy behavior habits now, and also being able to correlate. If I don't make changes, if I don't establish healthy habits, what is my future life going to be? What is my future self going to look like? And then, along with cultivating that positive mindset, you have to determine where your motivation comes from, because this is key to your forward momentum. Cognitive behaviorists, so I was reading this article, and cognitive behaviorists and psychologists have proposed that people have internal or intrinsic motivation, and they have external or extrinsic motivation. And it's largely the internal motivation that helps us remain focused on achieving the long-term goals, because external motivators such as money, buying yourself something, allowing yourself to have, a half a slice of cake instead of a whole, these are all fleeting. And the positive feelings that people get from these motivators, the external motivators, they are short-lived. They don't last, so you have to keep achieving them over and over again. But internal motivation comes from within. It's unique to everyone's personality, and it is essentially the reward you get from performing something for its own sake without an immediate external reward. So like I talked earlier, don't be chasing after immediate rewards from bad behavior. Don't do that. Research is saying from these cognitive behavioral specialists and psychologists that the most meaningful reward that you can chase is internal. It's intrinsic. It's the behavior that you feel satisfied in by just even completing it. The behavior, in essence, becomes the reward because you did it. And that's what keeps people going over the long haul. So, for instance, you might enjoy spending time with your kids and you would like to be more active with them. But if you are not physically fit, you can't participate in some of their activities. That's an intrinsic motivator for exercising. And that is a solid why. I want to be able to run with my grandkids. I want to be able to play basketball with my kids. I want to be able to take my kids horseback riding at the farm where I learned to horseback ride when I was young. These are solid intrinsic whys. They're meaningful, they're personal, and these are the ones that people are going to hold on to when things are rough, they don't feel like doing it, something has knocked them off balance, emotionally, spiritually, physically. These are the things that keep people going. So I challenge you now to try and think about some of your external and internal motivators and write them down. I'm big on giving you guys homework, writing things down, getting it on paper, digging into it, deciphering what's really going on in your life. We talked about, stress homework a while back and identifying what really are the stressors, who's responsible for that stress, and what can you do to alleviate that stress. And I've talked to you about writing a plan, writing down those goals. Getting it on paper and visualizing what can happen are so important to actually following through with what you're doing. So now here's one more exercise for you. Think about some of your external and internal motivators and write them as part of your plan. Things to consider. How important is family to you? How did you choose the job you did? How important is physical activity to you, being able to get out and do different things? Or how important is travel to you? Things that, require you to have a certain level of health if you really want to get the most out of that experience. Also be thinking about what makes your day a success. And then categorize them. Is this an internal passion, an internal goal that I'm pursuing, or is it external? Is it long-term? Is it short-lived? And now I'm lost in thought, so here we go. That's all right. I'm going to get back on track here. I'm going to exercise my plan of what to do when I get off track. So, be thinking about those things and write it down. And if you need an accountability partner to share them with, find one. Find someone who is just excited about helping you succeed as you are. And if you don't have that person, you know what? Message me. Message me, and I'll be happy to talk through your goals, your plans of success, all of that stuff with you. I'd be happy to. And if I'm not able to, I will find someone who can, because I know those kinds of people. All right, so through this whole discussion, I've given you a whole slew of stats as to why your health should be important. We've talked about tips to affect change. We've talked about mindset, all of this in effort to get you back on track and thinking forward to your goals for 2021. And if there was something in there that was not a motivator for you, because again, people react to different things, let me reiterate it for you again. Your health is important because you are worth it. You're worth all of the benefits a healthy lifestyle can give you. The good Lord didn't create you to merely survive, but to thrive. He wants you to live your fullest life yet, okay? So I want you to ask yourself, here's one question for you to really consider.
Thanks for joining us for today's edition of Temple Building from the Inside Out, brought to you by the Hazel May Collaboration and Nutrition Coaching, helping you live your healthiest life yet. And remember, the thoughts and viewpoints of this program should not be taken as professional advice. Consult your physician for medical concerns.